Alright, good afternoon, everyone. Looks like this is going well. I don't see any health issues on these streams. Yeah, looks like we're good. So, this is a little bit different than what I normally do. I've normally done video games up to this point, or talked about a couple of the random things with friends. But I do something a little different today. This is going to be a book review. Earlier this week, I had this show up. You can see that. The first volume of the Motörhead graphic novel series. Pre-ordered this, I don't know, probably pretty much as soon as pre-orders were available. And now that it showed up in the last few days, I figured I'd talk about it a little bit. Just if you've known me for any length of time, especially in person, I've been a long time big Motörhead fan. I didn't make one. Oh well. So yeah, I guess first I'll start off with the quality of the book itself. It's got a nice thick cover. The pages are really thick and sturdy. Good for something like this. It's got a foreword by. Actually, coincidentally, I didn't even think about this when I put my shirt on today. The forwards by Rob Halford of Judas Priest, talking about the influence that Lemmy and the group had on the heavy metal community in general. The art's a little bit on the sketchy, kind of unfinished side. It's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see like a really ultra slick superhero type presentation for a book about Motörhead. I do kind of wish it was finished a little better. Some of the line work is, like I said, kind of rough and sketchy. And overall, I think it was worth what they were asking for it. It's a pretty quick read. The subtitle for this one is the rise of the loudest band in the world, and they kind of say later on at the end of it that this is going to be like a continuing series of volumes. This is really volume 1, and it kind of talks about the rise of the band, like Lemmy's early career, even before using Motörhead. His stint with the Rocking Vickers, his roadie work with Jimi Hendrix, his membership and dismissal from Hawkwind, all the way up until, I just read this. I can't remember where it ends at. I think this hits or ends right after they got the #1 album for the Live at Hammersmith. Yeah, that's where it wraps up at. So there's going to be like three groups of people that this is aimed for. One, the Motörhead fans, the diehards that are going to order every piece of merch that comes down the assembly line. Kind of like what I did. So this review probably is not going to change your mind if you're in that group, because you already own it. And then the other two groups that this is going to be a choice whether or not you buy it or not. Is going to be either the longtime fans of the band that don't necessarily grab all the merch, but are on the fence about this, or maybe even new fans of the band. I know that since Lemmy has passed in the last few years, the brand has really pushed releasing prestige editions of the older albums. They're pushing a lot of new merch out. They're even starting to release some of the live tapes from concerts that were sitting in the vault that really didn't go anywhere for years and years. I don't, and this is going to end up turning into a discussion about the state of the brand itself. I don't know if there's value in releasing some of those live albums at this point, just because there's so much other live material out there for the band that's been vetted pretty well as far as quality goes. I don't know what the quality of these other ones are like. that might be good as an oddity, but I can't picture another way to pick them up. Um, which kind of leads me back to this. If you are a pretty serious fan who has already read a couple of the uh, autobiographies or biographies about the band or watched some of the documentaries, there's not anything new in here. You're going to be buying it for the presentation. Uh, in comic book form versus like the regular like novel type format. I did kind of like the one use of color they had in the book where someone's ear was bleeding at one of their louder concerts. I think when they set the record like for the loudest performance. Other than that, it's strictly in grayscale. But the fact that everyone from the classic lineup now passed Phil Campbell and not Phil Campbell, Phil Taylor and Eddie Clark, and of course Lemmy himself. They've all passed. I don't know if Lucius Fox or Larry Waller are still alive. Um, that was the original lineup. The very first recordings were done with. I don't know if they're still around or not. I'd have to look that up. But the point is that most of the people that will be able to add anything new to this phase of the story aren't with us anymore. This is all material that longer time fans have seen before. Um, so I would say if you're in the category where you've seen some of the documentaries and you've read some of the books, you could probably easily pass on that. If you're a newer fan or less dedicated fan that doesn't have as deep a repertoire of stuff to fall back on as far as information on the band goes, this is kind of a good jumping on point. Personally, I probably won't be buying the next volume just because like I own a lot of the books. I own some of the documentaries and a lot of the other ones. Um, and to the discussion about the state of the IP itself, I had to look this up after I got it. Apparently, the earliest pre-orders got this little cereal box thing, which is Motorhead's over crisp, um, a fake cereal, Killminster's brand versus Kellogg's, and it has some goofy stuff like you can cut out the middle finger on the back. It says Born to Chew, Live to Sip, which is a takeoff of Lemmy's famous Born to Lose, Live to Win. This to me kind of crosses the line into just goofy merch. I remember having this feeling back in the early 2000s, like going to Walmart and seeing like ACDC T-shirts for like tween girls that were like hot pink and had sparkles on them. Um, I don't know if the IP is heading in the direction that Lemmy would have wanted now that he's not there to kind of control it. I think they're just kind of cashing in on some. I'll just say it, goofy crap. Uh, Kind of sad. Not to the point of like Kiss Casket sad, but still, it's not. I don't know. Lemmy had a weird sense of humor. Maybe he would have liked it. Really hard to say. Yeah. So this was just kind of me testing a new format. Kind of want to talk about this book since it just came out. Um, and like I said, if you're relatively new to the Motorhead fandom, or want a little more about it, this is not a bad jumping on point. If like I said, if you're the absolute diehard, you probably already bought it anyway and don't need to see this review. But for the kind of middle of the road fan who actually knows quite a bit about the band already, unless you really want to see it in comic book format, you're not going to find anything new in this. Um, but for the money, this is like $40 plus shipping. The quality of the book, the binding, the size, the paper, print quality, I think it was a fair ask for the price. You mean again? Sure. I started out doing that. Yeah, The cover is kind of glossy. It has like the Ace of Spades logo with the War Pig and Lemmy's base headstock. The back, I don't know if this is going to show up in the camera. It's got a cool like semi-reflective surface where you can kind of see like the outline of like Lemmy's mustache and uh, the silhouette. I think I'm kind of catching it there. It's kind of a nice effect. The actual cover is pretty thick. I'm trying to catch it on the edge there. There we go. And it has a nice like front page and back page. I cannot remember the technical term for that in bookbinding terms. The artwork is it's not bad. It was a little sketchy. Kind of commented on that earlier. I do kind of like that they did this is reversed. They did the logo and the moon like the cover of the World Is Yours album. Some of the panels are not safe for work, so I gotta be careful what it is I'm showing. Yeah, it jumps like early on in his career where he's first meeting Jimi Hendrix and doing the roadie stuff for that. You know, at the earliest days of Hawkwind, where he got shanghaied into playing the bass, because originally in the first band he recorded with, the Rocking Vigors, he was the guitar player, and he had the bass forced on him doing Hawkwind. And then of course he famously got booted Hawkwind for doing the wrong drugs. They were all acid heads and he was a speed freak. Yeah, crossing over the border in Canada, he got nailed with having speed. They originally thought it was cocaine. Speed at the time was not illegal in Canada, but that made the news and ended up being kicked out of Hawkwind. I pre-ordered it. I want to say it was $40, plus shipping, which for the quality of the binding, the quality of the pages and the paper, and the actual size of the book, I don't think it was a bad value. One, I guess one thing I am glad they captured. There's a point in the book where they're talking about the recording um, the Overkill album, and they actually show Filthy setting up his drum kit with the double bass. That was really the the genesis for what became. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, that was really the genesis for what ended up becoming like speed and thrash metal. Opening double bass line that Filthy did for Overkill, like that is one of the most copied drummed uh, pieces of drumming like in hard rock and heavy metal. Yeah, I don't think it was a bad value. I I don't regret buying it. I am a little like I was saying earlier. I'm just getting concerned about the direction that the merch taking now that Lemmy's not really at the helm anymore. Obviously, fast. And like I was also saying, it's a lot of stuff that has been covered before. Not now that most of the principal players are no longer with us. Uh, you're not really going to get the new behind the scenes stories from anybody. I appreciate you guys stopping by and asking questions. If you had anything else you wanted me to cover about it or had questions on it, I'll go ahead and answer those. Then I'll probably wrap this up. There's not a ton to say about it. who did the art? Good question. There's a credit page right at the start. It was created at Fantoons Animation Studios. Interesting that they went to an animation studio for printing a graphic novel. Someone named Lindsay Lee did the layouts, illustrated by John Riara, Alberto Balandria, and Jorge Mangia. And then it's colored by a name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it, and Samuel Blanco. No, no, it's not really a big name comic company. Like I said, it's done by Fantoon, and it was sales. Yeah, it's all Fantoons and iMotorhead.com, which is the official website of the. Under licensed to global merchandising services and printed in China. Dark Horse would have been fitting, but no. I think if they went with a bigger publisher, they'd probably have a little more of the profit sharing going on, which they probably don't want. Yeah, most likely. Anything else? What song do you recommend listening to or reading it? Actually, oddly enough, I put on while I was reading this. I put on the there's a documentary on the making of the Ace of Spades album that I put on which was weird because it some of the stuff being talked about in the documentary was lining up with what I was reading while I was reading. So I don't know if a lot of the stuff um, was intentionally copied from it, or if it's just coincidental because there's only so many ways you can cover the same information. Um, if I was to recommend one thing that would encapsulate the book to listen to, I'd probably say the No Sleep Till Hammersmith live album, just because it's going to cover a little bit from their entire career, um, up to the point where this ends, and a pretty heavy focus on Ace of Spades, of course. That was the album that just came out before the live album. So that'd be my recommendation. Although if I was going to do one song instead of an album, I would say Overkill. Just because Overkill is like one of the most influential songs, where Motorhead took hard rock and heavy metal after that. I just realized that I put my review of spoilers late up. I'm not really sure if that was really necessary. So you can spoiler something happened like 40 years. Yeah, and this this is the first volume of what they're implying is going to be an ongoing series, because the actual title is the rise of the loudest band in the world. And when you get to the very end, uh, well, it says their story continues for another 4 decades of rock and roll like no other band in history. Um, I don't know if that implies they're going to come out with later volumes to kind of like walk through their entire career, or this might be a one-off thing. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of assuming I'm kind of assuming that based on how this sells, that they may do later volume. But that's an assumption on my part. Yeah, currently it's the only comic that, at least officially licensed comic. There was a uh, there was a comic company in the '90s that specifically did issues on like different bands. I cannot remember the name of the comic company, but they did. Uh, there was an ACDC one my friends had. There was a Metallica one. They might have done a Motorhead one, but that wasn't a licensed thing. But it was just kind of like a biographical type thing. I gotta look that up. It might have been called Rock and Roll Comics. Now I'm very curious. Yeah, it looks like Rock and Roll Comics. Comic series that went from '89 to '93. A company called Revolution. They did Guns N' Roses, Metallica, a whole bunch. 2 issues, of course, and Ozzy Osbourne. Actually, I'm not seeing it now, but if there was another Motorhead comic out there, that's where I assumed it would. As far as Motorhead and comic books go, I don't think I have anything else to talk about unless anyone has any other questions. Not a problem. Thanks for stopping by. It looks like there's 2 other lurkers there. We could give them one last chance to chime in. Yeah, but I guess as a side note, you can track down some of the rock and roll comics. Those were pretty cool. Um, Looks like some of them are really valuable now. Good luck there. Awesome. All right, well, bots and people, thank you for stopping by. I will catch you guys later.